You're the second largest country in the world with a 40 million population, 40 million population. You need at least about 100 million population.
And yes, you heard that right. That was Dinesh Patnaik, Indian High Commissioner to Canada. And yes, he's saying that Canadians at 40 million are too small a population. And we need a population of 100 million people. How, you ask? Stick around and I will tell you. Because the thing you might not realize is it's already happening as we speak. My name is Nico Lagan and I'm too conservative for the conservatives. My co-host Rob Ambrose, not woke enough for the liberals. We are the political orphans. We've spoke about this before. We have spoken about the Century Initiative. Maybe you guys don't remember, but this is the perfect situation to talk about it again. And as you heard, this was the Indian High Commissioner to Canada on CBC telling the host that Canada has too small of a population, that we need to be at least 100 million people because we are the second largest country on the planet. And he also has a solution on how to make it happen. So here is a video that is going viral, absolutely viral everywhere, at least in conservative circles. So let's listen. Video super short, but let's listen to the video so that you can have an idea what I'm talking about, and then we'll discuss. I'll show you what's actually going on behind the scenes right now. Okay. So here is the High Commissioner, the Indian High Commissioner to Canada.
You have things which we need. We have things which you need. I mean, for example, simple examples. We have, you're a country of, you're the second largest country in the world with a 40 million population, 40 million population. You need at least about 100 million population.
No.
You need people to man many of your resources. We have the capacity, we have the intellect, we have the talent, we have the resources.
Okay, so that's okay. So that's what we get. What do you get? Like, this sounds like a bad deal.
But I like how you said that. No.
I was like, that's when he said we have things you need. I was thinking, what does he mean here? You can't just mean people. You can't mean people. He means people.
Well, he means people. He means the intellect. He means the resources, as in they're industrious people.
Human resources.
And but I liked your answer. No, because that's exactly when I was listening to it earlier. I'm like, no, we definitely do not need. But you know, here's where it gets. Again, I have to find another word for interesting, because it's not really interesting. It's just a word I always use when I'm not sure how to describe it. But what I find to be quite revealing is that Canadians are seeing this video and they're like, your reaction exactly. Yeah, no. We don't want 100 million. We don't want to be 100 million people here, because you're clearly indicating that you'd like 60 million of them to be Indian. That's basically what I'm hearing from this video. And a lot of Canadians are actually looking at this and they're like, yeah, no, thank you. But do you remember Mark Wiseman? Does that name sound familiar? Do you remember him?
Maybe.
I spoke about him a couple of months ago when he became the Canadian ambassador to the United States. So he is our new ambassador to the United States. He's a good friend of Mr. Mark Carney.
Oh, yes. Okay.
And the reason I bring him up is most people, if 99% of people, have no idea who that man is, but he is the co-founder of the Century Initiative. This is their website right now. I don't know if you remember this. I had spoken about it a little while ago. And the reason I'm bringing it up again is because that video is going viral right now. And what people might not know, might not remember, is that the Century Initiative's main goal is to increase the population of Canada to 100 million people by 2100. That is their main, but that's their main. So if you look at the initiative, the Century Initiative, this is something that's been out there for a while. This is nothing new here. But then you have the Indian High Commissioner to Canada that's saying that you need at least 100 million people in your population. You have the Century Initiative that's been talked about for a little while now, for a few years. Mark Carney put that guy as our new ambassador to the US. And then right now, where is Mark Carney? Mark Carney is in India. And you'll understand that this is no coincidence once we start looking at the numbers. Because if that's the first time you hear 100 million people, that's freaking outrageous. But if you start looking at the numbers, you start to realize that this is not far-fetched at all. Not only is it not far-fetched, but as per the calculation, we are pretty much on track to achieve this. So just to refresh you guys' memory here, I'm going to bring it up on my screen because it is a bit tiny on that screen for me to look at. But here is you look at 1, 2, 3, 3, 6, so about the 15th most, the 15 of the Western countries. And guess what? Look at the bottom. Look, it's just called to see our population growth in comparative perspective like this is something. And if you look at Canada, we're at the bottom. In 2000, so 25 years ago, we were 30,685,000 Canadians. Today, we are 41,288,000. In the span of 25 years, we increased our population by 35%, or 10 million. 35% in the span of 25 years. We went from 30.6 to 41. But if you look at the average, if you average it out over 25 years, that is an annual average growth rate of 1.2%. And what do you think is the consequence of having a 1.2% average annual rate for the next 74 years? It would bring Canada to 100 million people in population. So what we're seeing right now, so you have the High Commissioner, Indian High Commissioner to Canada that says, oh, we need to be 100 million. You have the Century Initiative, big buddy of Mark Carney. Mark Carney is currently in India. And I just want to show some numbers afterwards. Like, I haven't listened to the full video because I was hoping to be surprised like you. But here's something that's absolutely outrageous that Mark Carney said today while in India. Because this is really for you. I want to see your reaction. Because as you reacted from the get-go, like, no, we don't need this. I want to see your reaction to this. But here's what Mark Carney said in India today. Oop. Hold on. There we go. Let's do that again. Bad thing.
We are one family. The greatest, most enduring strengths between Canada and India are the families who call our nations home. Nearly 2 million Canadians trace their roots to India, including leaders in business, science, culture, and government. Tens of thousands of people travel between our countries every year to visit friends and family. 400,000 talented Indians study in Canada. That is twice the number in the United States. It is 4 times the number in the United Kingdom.
That's the problem.
These students, these connections,
like if we as Canada have twice the number of Indian students as America with 340 million people, that's a problem. Like that's how you know right now that's way too many.
It gets worse, man. I'll share the real numbers afterwards. It gets worse.
We're collaborating to build on those strengths. We've launched the new Canada-India Talent and Innovation Strategy with 13 new partnerships to deepen our ties in education. And this includes
so he wants to bring more Indians to Canada?
The University of Toronto, University of British Columbia.
The 3 biggest markets in Canada, McGill's in Montreal, Toronto University, it's pretty clear that it's in Toronto, and then BC. So he wants to bring more Indians to Canada through the international student program, and he wants to put them in the 3 biggest cities in Canada.
To work across artificial intelligence, health sciences, and digital architecture.
I mean, I don't know, where did they get this arbitrary number? Like, what is special about 100 million? What, at the end of the day, you don't need any minimum population. What you need is productive citizens. If we could have 100 million productive citizens, all producing to the economy, working, paying taxes, not taking welfare, yeah, that'd probably be fine. But that's not, like, it's much better to have 40 million productive citizens than 100 million non-productive. And we don't even have 40 million productive citizens now, right? We've got this idea
19 million workers right now in Canada. More than half the population does not work. This
idea that leftists have, that, you know, this blank slate idea that a body is a body is a body, and one human from anywhere in the world is the exact same as, like, you know, they'll look at the numbers, they'll look at the per capita numbers, they'll be like, okay, so, you know, per capita GDP in Canada is, I don't know what it is, let's say it's $40,000. Therefore, every body we bring in will add $40,000 to the GDP. No, that's not how it works. If you bring in low quality migrants, what's going to happen is your GDP is going to go down. It's not going to increase. This idea that bodies add value just by existing is actually nonsense. It's the opposite. Bodies take resources and things to keep them alive, and they need to produce in excess of what they take in resources in order for it to make sense for the host country.
You know, here are some of the numbers. So what Mark Carney was saying, he was off. He mentioned below 2 million people can trace their ancestry back to India. That's incorrect. Right now in Canada, there's 2.9 million Indian born or children born of Indian parents. So you either look at freshly off the boat, as we call them, first generation, or their grandparents are Indian. So one born in India, first or second generation, there's almost 3 million Canadians, 3 million Indians in Canada. If those trends continue, they estimate that by 2041, there will be somewhere around 6.5 million Indians in Canada, if what we're seeing right now is continuing. Mark Carney did mention that there are over 400,000 Indian international students in Canada, and that is accurate. And here is what the problem is, and that is obviously the reason why he's doing it, is as per Abacus data, 92% of international students are open to pursuing permanent residency in Canada. So it's clear that if you look at the numbers, they are coming to Canada under the international student program in order to become Canadian. It's not to be studying abroad. Is really a way into the country. And not only that, but because of the asylum seeker loophole that we have, they don't even need to come to school. Literally, they can show up next day, apply for asylum seeker, and as per the latest number I found, it was up to 6 years. It's not even 4 years like we were told last year. It's between 4 to 6 years if you look at the appeal process, because you can be rejected. It'll take you about 2 years to see someone in order to get a decision. But if you're rejected, you get to apply, you get to counter it, go back to court, and this takes forever. So the process right now is closer to 6 years than it is to 4. And here's where the data gets really outrageous, is in 2013. So I was wondering, I'm like, okay, so what was the difference between the amount of Indians that we see today compared to 10 years ago? In 2014, we had 1.3 to 1.4 million Indians that were either Indian born, first or second generation. Right now, it more than doubled at almost 3 million. That's over 10 years. Then take a wild guess at international students. How we already know that it's 400,000, just over 400,000 right now. But 10 years ago, how many international students did we have in Canada that was from India?
How many?
Yeah.
Well, Carney just said in that speech, right?
Right now we have 400,000 is what he
400,000.
said. And
Yeah.
clearly he wants to bring that up. He made it very clear in that speech that he's building relationships in order to bring that number up. But how many international students from India did we have in 2014, 10 years ago?
Oh, in 2014? Oh, I bet you it's low. 50,000?
Not even 32,000.
Wow.
There's 11 times more Indian international students in Canada right now than there was 10 years ago.
I mean, that's not organic growth, right? That's not just taking best for, first couple. That's not just saying taking the best of the people who apply. That's some sort of just open door pipeline.
There's over 30% of immigration as a whole that comes from India. Why? Why are we taking so many Indians? Because let's be honest here, their culture does not align with ours. Now, if you told me that they came from Europe, for example, if you told me they came from the US, they came from places that actually, you know what, Russians could probably fit in very well here. But that's not what's happening right now. You're talking about Indian. That's a third world country. And we're taking them in by the shovelful. Like literally, we're just bringing them in. And you asked earlier, why would they do this? It's the great replacement theory that in order to control a population, you need to replace it by people that don't understand what the culture of that country actually is. If you bring in that many Indians that come from a third world country, guess what they're going to expect? A third world country. So they're just going to come in, do whatever it is that the government tells them to do. And the people that build this country are not going to be here anymore, or they're going to be a minority. Like, look, perfect example. Look, so we're going to speak about Iran with a special guest in about 8 minutes. But one of the things that, did you see what happened? So they talked about what happened. Somehow Carney's on Trump's side for what he did. But then you look at France, you look at the UK, they're going against what, they're not happy about what Trump did. So the countries in the Middle East, that just got freed, because we can talk about that later, but that got the Ayatollah killed. So their supreme leader, if you will, is no longer there. They're celebrating in the street. Women are removing their burqa, but people in the US are pissed off. People in France are pissed off. People in the UK are pissed off. Why? Because they have a big population of Muslims that are there. They're not happy about what's happening to one of their Muslim countries. That's a great example. This is what we're seeing.
Of how they're
exactly my point.
They're affecting the politics of the country. Now our politics in the West are now geared towards friendly relations with Muslim countries who want to harm us, because they've brought in so many people from those countries that they have literally shifted the entire country's posture to geopolitics.
And now you look at, there's a report that's been coming out every year over the past 5 years indicating that our biggest threat to our security is India. It's not even China, it's India. So right now, the two biggest problem that we have when it comes to our security, to Canadian integrity, influence from other country, is China and India. Those are our two main problems. And who's our prime minister trying to build more ties with? India and China. Like, how is that not problematic? I don't care if you disagree with my politics. How is that normal? How does that make sense? Make that make sense that now it looks like our two biggest allies or people are the two countries that we found the most problematic when it comes to our security. It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah. No, it is.
So this is where we are. And you ask why? It's easy. You just want to have people that are not used to a lot to come here and work. But how do Indian values are not Canadian values? I really don't care if that offends people. We are not the same. We don't have the same culture. We don't. We really don't. You just look at the way they behave here. Just the way they trash everything around them. Yeah. Like, let's be honest here. You're bringing people from a third world country. What do you expect? How are they going to behave?
Yeah, and I mean, look, I don't have in it like so. I think up until probably 10 or 15 years ago, Canadian immigration system was probably pretty decent. You know,
It was all right. It
most
was all right.
people, yeah,
Yeah.
most people our age and older, you know, will have
Yeah.
memories of growing up in a country that, you know,
Yeah.
it had diversity, but it didn't feel overwhelming. It didn't feel like there was a society within a society. It didn't feel like there was you know, entirely separate groups that were just building walls around them, keeping them separate from Canadian society. And I think, you know, we basically we were able to do immigration back then the way it's supposed to be done, which is you're a country that a lot of people want to move to, means you're going to have your pick and choose of the best and the brightest all over the world. And I think for the most part, they did that. And that's why it worked for the most part. Immigration worked up until 15, 20 years ago. And you know, even in a country like you said, like, yeah, the culture and the values are different in India now. And even in a country with different values and culture, if you're only really taking the best and the brightest, you're still going to be taking, yes, they're Indians, but they're ones who are fitting in, who are assimilating, who are producing and contributing to the country. When you just open the door and allow all of them to come in, now you're going to get the actual, now you're going to bring in that culture with you. Now you're going to bring in that, you know, all the negative aspects of that culture are now going to come in. And I don't know why we decided that. I don't know why we went from a system that was working. Maybe it wasn't perfect, but it was more or less work. It was light years better than the one we have now.
Well, you know, I traveled a lot over the past 5 years. I literally spent 2.5 years in the middle of the woods during COVID. And then another 2.5 years, give or take, my wife and I were on the road in an RV going coast to coast in the US. We explored 30 states. And man, when we came back to Canada, we saw a difference. Because I literally was away from the cities in Canada for literally 5 years.
Okay.
We come back here and I just go to the Walmart in Montreal, a place where I've been many, many times, and I'm just looking around. And it's not about being racist. I was literally a minority in the Walmart where I was, that was in a place, it was right next to where I worked for years, just prior to COVID. And I'm just looking around and I'm like, what the fuck is happening here? Like, what the fuck is happening here? And I know I put that question forward to everybody out there, or everybody that's listening to this. Look around you. If you're in an urban area, obviously, if you lived in the middle of the woods like I did for a while, you're not going to see a difference. But if you're in an urban area, can you really say, honestly, that over the past 5 to 10 years, the demography of your area has not changed? If you're honest with yourself, has it changed? Because what I'm seeing has completely changed, and it's hard to believe that it's only been 5 years. It's hard to believe that it can change that fast within such a short amount of time, and it's all since COVID. It's really, really since COVID.
Yeah, 2020 is when they opened the doors. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the issue, the primary issue is pace of change. It's too much, too fast, too soon, right? You allow small numbers of the best and the brightest. You give them time to assimilate. They can blend, you know, the culture, their food, the dress from where they're from. That's all fine. Blend that in with Canadian culture, but fundamentally, they are Canadians. That's not what's happening now. Now you've got people. You're bringing people who have no, and it's our own fault because we don't put any priority on pushing for assimilation because it's deemed racist, right? We can't suggest. Well, frankly, it's not. It's idiotic. Assimilation is necessary for social cohesion when you're bringing in a large number of people from different countries. If they do not assimilate, you are asking for disaster. You are asking for trouble, and we're getting it. And you know, the social cohesion of the country is fracturing, and the elites don't fucking care. They don't notice it because they're insulated from it, right? They're up in their gated communities. To the extent that they see it, they see it on TV. On they don't see it. It's not in their homes, and so they don't care.
There's a couple of comments here that I definitely need to take. Wilf is saying, by design, folks, by design. I couldn't agree with you more. That's why I made sure to mention the Century Initiative. As soon as I heard that speech from the Indian High Commissioner, I'm like, oh yeah, this is great replacement theory right there. And it's not even a conspiracy. The numbers are there. 1.2% yearly population growth coming from overseas right now. That's what we're seeing, because the birth rate of Canadian born, like the people that their family have been here for generations, has slowed down. Not only did it slow down, it's minus, if I remember correctly, it was minus 1.9 over the past few years. So we're literally getting replaced. It's not even a theory at this point. It's the facts are there. The numbers are there to show it. See, this is a great comment, and I agree with that 1,000%. Cindy's saying, when were we asked? And it's true, right? No. I didn't vote for this. Who voted to open our floodgates to third world countries? We're not even talking about, like you said, the cream of the cream here. Because even if I wouldn't agree that we need to flood the Canadian country with a bunch of foreigners just because they're qualified, at least I can understand what you're saying. I understand your point of view. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. But now you're opening up the door to third world country people that have nothing to give, nothing to provide here. Except exactly, like, why? And we open our social services to them? No, no. There's a good reason why Canadians pay, on the average working Canadian pays 42.3% of their salary to taxes. There's a good reason why.
Well, yeah, and you know, this is a good point from Cindy, because look, the fact of the matter is, if there was an election ran on this, right? If there was a public debate about this, let's say the Liberals ran on, we're going to open the borders and we're going to bring in, you know, massive amounts of migrants, and that's our platform, and they won, then I would complain about it. I wouldn't agree with it, but it would feel at least like, okay, they're at least, you know, this is the way the country has decided. But that's not what happened. If you look at the graphs from every Western country, Australia, Canada, UK, Germany, France, 2020, every single one of them, their immigration numbers shot through the roof. And on a scale of, it isn't just a tweak to immigration policy. It was a fundamental change to immigration policy. It'd be like if they shut down healthcare here in Canada without an election, without anything about, like, without asking the Canadian public. If they just did it, people would be rightly upset, because it's a massive policy change without asking. Fundamentally, yeah, you can tweak policy, but you're not supposed to just do a massive policy change on a fundamental issue like immigration without asking the country. And you do that in a number of ways, but primarily you do it through an election where one party runs on an idea, and then if they win, they will implement that idea. That's how it's supposed to work. That's not what's going on. And the fact that it happened across the entire West, all in these countries at the same time, it really makes you wonder, like, who is pulling the strings here? How did this is not a coincidence that this all happened to all these countries at once, and none of these countries were asked about it. It was just done to them. So what is going on?
Here's another one. Alicia is saying, so they want our population to grow, but how many Canadians and other legal immigrants have fled Canada now? What's the numbers on that the last decade? Unprecedented. And it's true. Like, I can tell you that this is a very, you know, I spent a lot of time in the US. Like, I spent, like I said, almost 2.5 years in the US over the past 5 years. And my wife and I, both of us, don't want to stay here. And it's not because we don't love Canada. It's because we don't love what Canada's become. We don't love our immigration policies. We don't love the censorship and surveillance bills that are being passed, are trying to be passed, that are being tabled. We don't like the direction that Canada is going. Like, we look at our son, and how is he supposed to live here if everything's going to be taken away from him? It makes no sense. But this is Canada. But it is definitely not the Canada we grew up in. I can tell you, as somebody that's 43 years old, I remember what Canada used to be. And this is not it. This is definitely not the Canada I grew up in. And like you said, nobody asked my opinion on this one. Nobody asked me to vote on this. This is a policy change that was done right in our face that
I'm okay with policies I don't agree with. If there's some sort of legitimacy behind them, like electoral or democratic legitimacy behind them, I agree with them. I might complain about them. I might, push back or advocate against them, but I understand them. I don't feel like something wrong has happened. Just because. But when it's done this way, it feels like something has gone wrong. It feels like something's broken. It feels like something's not working the way it's supposed to, because no election was ran on this. And the fact of the matter is, the reason is because they would have lost if they ran an election on this, on open borders migration. So they know it's not popular.
No, it wouldn't have worked. And that's exactly why, too, they call people like me that calls this out racist. Because they believe that I'm doing it because I'm racist. No, 100%.
It's nonsense.
It's absolute nonsense. And again, why India, right? Why India? Why are we importing a bunch of third world country people? This is always what the biggest problem is. They're not people that are here to make this place better. They're not. They're absolutely not. They're not the cream of the crop like Mark Carney is describing. This is bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. And I don't know what it's going to take for Canadians to wake up before they get replaced. Because that's what we're doing. Like, there is no way in hell that we can go from 41 million people to 100 million people by 2100. It ain't going to happen. So you need to bring in a mass amount of immigration, and you look at the numbers right now, over 30% of immigrants come from India. You have the High Commissioner of India to Canada saying that we need 100 million people here because we're the second largest country on the planet. And, we have what you need. Yeah, fuck off, we do. Like, fuck off, you do have what we need. Yeah, sure. No, we definitely don't need that. But, the immigration part is a problem. What we're seeing, this massive influx of individuals that don't share a culture, is a massive problem. But there's already almost 3 million of them here. And if you've ever spent time in Toronto, if you've ever spent time in Brampton, which I have, I lived in Toronto for 5 years, 6 years, I can't remember exactly, but I lived in Toronto for a while. And it does not feel like a Canadian country there. Like, you go down to Brampton, bro, we call it brown. We call it Browntown, because it ain't fucking whites there. No, but it's true. I used to work for Rogers. I used to work for Rogers Communications. They had bought the Nortel building in Brampton, which is a massive fucking space. I can't even tell you how big it is, but it is massive. Like, I don't know the exact number, but it's blocks in size. Like, it's massive. It used to be Nortel. You'd go around there. Like, it started, most people worked at Nortel. So it was a bunch of just regular Canadians and, yes, white Canadians that were working there. And then some of the guys I was talking to, they're like, bro, I live right here. I can't recognize Brampton anymore. And that was almost 10 years ago. I can't even imagine what those same people are saying today when they look around. Because, man, even when I was there, and I left quite a few years ago, and it was unrecognized. Like, it did not look like you were in Canada anymore. And here's a great comment to kind of prove what we're talking about. Laurie Shea is saying, I'm outside a little tiny hamlet in Alberta, and I can see the difference. They moved in, bought one store. After a few years, they get another one, and their plan is to take over the whole town. And this is not the first time I hear that. I heard that they found some Indians working in the Northwest Territories. Remember, there was one of our commenters was saying this, and I'm like, why would Indians that come from an extremely hot country come here to go in the Northwest Territory? Because that's another problem that they don't seem to be addressing, is Canada's the second biggest country on the planet. Yeah. Did you ever see where the population lives? Literally within 100 kilometers from the U.S., from the border to the U.S., because it's so fucking cold. So you don't want to live in buttfuck nowhere. That's another thing they don't talk about yet. Yeah, we're a massive country. We're a massive resources country. But I like what you said earlier, because it was actually you taking a day off actually paid off, because man, this was very articulate. You saying that I want productive people, because at the end of the day, Canada is an extremely natural resource rich country. And this is what, there's no reason for us to not be top 3, if not top 5, if not top 3 superpower in the world, because we have the highest amount of hydroelectricity in the world. Like, Quebec produces the most hydroelectricity in the world. And I was just discussing that with some of my wife's friends yesterday, and most people don't understand what this means, but I come from the telecommunication world. And one of the advantages that we have in Canada that basically no other country has, because of hydroelectricity and because of our weather, is we can have massive data centers. And this is something that we need. We need data centers. This is something that's only going to continue growing. It will never stop expanding. One of the biggest advantages that we have is not only can we produce electricity, high quality electricity, extremely, extremely cheap in Quebec, but we can also cool down our data center using the outside air. We don't need to use a lot of conditioned air. We can literally, we bought a data center. The company I used to work for bought a data center that it was called 4 degrees. The reason it was called 4 degrees because that was the average temperature of Quebec City. If you averaged it out, we averaged 4 degrees. That means you could literally pump the air from outside and bring it in to cool down your equipment, instead of paying for more electricity to have it done through air conditioning. So we have such advantage when it comes to technology. We have advantage when it comes to power. We have the 3rd largest reserve of oil and gas in the world. We have all the minerals that we ever need. We have all the wood that we'll ever need. We have access to the Pacific. We have access to the Atlantic. We have access to the biggest market on the planet, that is the US. And we have one of the biggest trading route between Asia and Europe, just at the north of our country. We control the biggest route between Asia and Europe.
Yeah.
We have all the tools to be one of the richest country on the planet. But I like what you said. We need people that are industrious, that are hard workers. We don't need 100 million people. We need productivity. We don't. And the more AI, the more AI joins, the more robots get into it that are intelligent. All those jobs. I saw some reports today. They were estimating that AI can probably replace about 80% of jobs right now.
Well, that's
like, give it 5 years. 80% of those jobs are gone.
Even if there was an economic argument to be made for mass migration, that you need more people, that whole thing, even if that was true, which it's not, but even if it was, that would be gone with the whole AI thing. Like, AI is making that argument completely. So now we're just going to import a few dozen million people more than we need, because we think that we're going to need them, and then all of a sudden AI makes everyone's irrelevant, and now we're sitting here with all these people that are just dead weight, not working, and now we have to support them. That is nonsense. And I was thinking, when you were talking about Brantford there, or Brampton, or whichever it was,
Brampton,
and all you see is brown people, and it occurs to me that the leftists would call you racist for saying, "Oh, why is that a problem? Why is that a problem?" And it's like, these motherfuckers are the ones that are. Remember how much they bang the drum for how important representation is? It's why they, why they're putting, in every Netflix movie where there was a white person, now it's a black person, and they see how important it is to see representation of yourself out there, except for white people, right? Like like if you're an Indian family who moved here to Canada, the leftists will be out there saying it is really important that this Indian family from India sees himself in Canadian culture. And let's just for argument's sake say that's correct. Let's say that's right, just for the sake of argument. But they somehow don't think that it's important for us to see ourselves as well. Like, for us to recognize ourselves represented, for
that's racist.
It's traumatic for a group of people to see themselves completely erased from their own society, their own country, the own country that their ancestors built. That is genuinely traumatic, and the leftists are completely fucking silent on it because they don't care. They never really cared about equality or representation. All they cared about was hating everything to do with the West. Everything to do with the West. So that's hating Christianity, hating white people, hating men, all those things. That's their only guiding principle. And you know, it's why these fucking leftists are now freaking, you know, they're all supporting Iran, the regime in Iran. They're supporting the Shah, even though he's like, you know, devastating for women's rights in Iran. It's devastating for gay rights. You know, he's everything against what leftists claim they're against or they're for, and yet they love him and defend him because he hates the West. That's it. If it will hurt the West, they're all for it. It's absolute fucking garbage.
How many? Oh, see, that is a great point right there. Serena is saying, I see immigrant families with large families while Canadians are not having children any longer. How many immigrants are in favor of the trans movement? Made abortion ? That is so true. That is a comment that I've made before, and I couldn't agree with you more. Literally, so most of what you're seeing right now is Christians like me that will speak against the trans movement, that will speak against MAID, that will speak against abortion. But the immigrants, like let's say Muslim individuals, they're not going to talk against it. Why? Because they don't need to. The left has opened our doors to them in the name of inclusions, and we need to be inclusive. So why would they talk about this? But you know what they do to those type of people in countries that are ran by Muslims. They don't like trans. They don't like the gays. They don't. Clearly, the only mate that's going to happen is the trans and the gays. And you think they're aborting children over there? Of course not. Of course not.
No. And that's why.
Of course not. Of course not.
The Muslim community in the West broadly supports abortion, at least supports it indirectly by voting for left-leaning parties, because they do overwhelmingly vote for left-leaning parties. But they only do that because they know they can control abortion within their own communities. They will make abortion essentially
it's not their
illegal.
problem.
It's not their women that are having abortions. They won't allow their women to have abortions, frankly.
No,
of
course
not.
And
Their opinion is, you know, if the white people want to kill their kids, then let them.
See, that's a cool comment. Vesperia is saying that in Helsinki, they use geothermal to heat their homes. Canada's a joke. You know, we had Judith Curry on the show. I've interviewed her a couple of times, but we had her on the show a few months ago, and she made a very, very smart comment. Well, she's a smart woman, but she made a very smart comment, as in it should be based on the technology and the terrain that's available wherever you're talking about. Like in Canada, like why would you go anything else than hydroelectricity? Sure, you could go nuclear, but if you really believe in the green agenda, if you really believe that it's better, that you want to save the planet, nuclear is probably the cleanest energy that you can do now. But I agree, thermal would be great too. It's really depending on your terrain and the technology that you have available to you. But I don't know what's happening to our guest. I guess he's not showing up, but that's okay. That's okay.
It's weird because I thought I saw him at the beginning of the show.
No, that was that was the guest from yesterday, because he didn't finish his upload. So I reached out to him, and instead of going into the upload section, he came back into the show. But that's a show you missed, bro. That was I wish you would have been there, because the guy, I would have loved to see your reaction to it, because it was about, he's a ex-Navy SEAL sniper. He's somebody that started a foundation by the name of Vets for Child Rescue. He basically he organizes sting operations all over the U.S. in team with local police and federal agencies. He catches pedophiles, but he's a massive Christian. So yesterday we talked about good and evil. We talked about, helping children, but why do those people go after children? The spiritual war that's going. I would have loved to see you react to it because it was very Christian yesterday, but the response was awesome. Like we really he goes deep. I knew the type of individual he is. I've recorded with him before, but he's just a very well-spoken guy. And it's one of our listeners actually commented, I can't remember the name of the listeners, and I apologize if you're here right now, but he's like, I'm not religious, but he really gave me a lot of things to think about. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but that's one of the comments that was left on the video. He has that effect because he's ex-military. Like he was a Navy SEALs. He was a sniper. He's somebody that trains people in hand-to-hand combat. And now he catches pedophiles in the name of God. How can you not like this guy? And
we should have him back.
He's an older guy, 65 years, good-looking dude. Big white beard. Like he looks like he's a Southern Texas boy.
Okay.
So he's one of those.
I'd love to have him back. I
we'll have him back. I'm a big fan of his. Like I really like this guy. He just has there's an energy about him that you can't ignore. And you don't have to be Christian to appreciate like his faith. It's so much bigger. He has such a stronger faith than I do, and it's inspiring to me. His faith inspires me when I talk. Because he's can you imagine having to deal with pedophiles face to face? Because he talks to them, he interviews them, he tries to understand why they do what they do, and I don't understand how he can do it. Like I'd want to rip their head off. Like I'd want to chop that head off their shoulders clean right then and there, no questions asked. But he's such a calm individual when it comes to it. It's inspiring to see guys like him do the type of work that he does and be so calm, but yet capable of going into the spiritual realm and say, this is why it's happening, because they are the most at risk. If you believe in God and you wanted to hurt God, who would you hurt? The children. Yeah. They're the most innocent of us. And that's what he was explaining. So you don't need to understand religion or Christianity. The way he explained it, he's like, if you have an evil force that wants to hurt people, what do? They kill the little ones. They're the most at risk. They're the most vulnerable. They're the most innocent people that we have are our children. It's just very cool the way he explained it. So we'll have him back on.
Yeah. That'd be a great show. It sounds, where does he live now?
He's somewhere in Texas. Just from the pictures that he's definitely in southern Texas. I don't think he's moved very far because I recognize the kind of cactuses and kind of sand over there. You can the type of architecture too, the type of house that they have. It's either Texas. Just looking at the pictures, it's either Texas or Arizona. If I had to put money down, it's either Arizona or Texas.
It'd be cool. That's a cool part of the world. That'd be a cool place to live, I think.
Arizona, if I had a choice, like we spent a lot of time in Arizona. If I had a chance, I suppose. Well, it's dry though. Arizona's dry. There's no humidity. So in the winter, man, I was on my motorcycle. In the middle of winter, I was going to the gym in a wife beater and shorts. It was minus 40 here. Over there was I was like 35 degrees. I played golf in the middle of the winter over there in shorts and shirt. It was awesome. But yeah, I love Arizona. If it was up to me, Arizona or Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, those are my favorite places. Love Tennessee. Tennessee's awesome. Really cool. Damn. We're just a few minutes off. So before I forget, we will talk about the sponsor of the Political Orphans. And I was corrected yesterday, and it is true. It's not Miss Cleo. It's Miss Cleo's pet
Miss Cleo.
treats. It's Miss Cleo's pet and treats. Miss Cleo's pet treats. 100% natural, healthy dog treats made by hand right here in Canada. Everything is not only handmade, but it's sourced from local farms in Manitoba. She sent me a box. It's insane. She literally sent me treats for at least 2 months if I give my dog treats every single day, which we normally do give her really high-end treats, but she gave me enough to probably give her a bunch every single day. And now my dog is kind of pissed I only gave her a check-in foot today.
It doesn't matter how good it is. Like, is it your dog pissed because it's like you're giving her so much, or like she doesn't want to eat the regular food now? Oh
no. It's because there's a box. Like literally, she sent me a box that's probably 1.5 foot wide by about half a foot. So yeah, about 1.5 foot long, half a foot wide, about half a foot deep. It's filled. It's absolutely filled. We have a refrigerator in the basement, and it takes a full shelf, like wide and deep. Like I had to go buy containers to save it because it's all meat. There's no preservatives, right? So I had to leave the box on the table for 2 days because I needed to do a unboxing video as a promo for it.
Okay.
And as soon as my wife came in the house, when she went to pick up the box, then the dog knew. She's like, that's mine. I want it. She spent 2 days sniffing it, being pissed at me because I wasn't giving it to her. And now that I've opened the box, it's never enough. Like I could probably give her 3-4 different type of treats every day. She'd still be mad at me that I'm not giving her more because I think she knows how much there is in that damn box. She just wants more. She loves it. She just wants more, man. Never happy. Never happy. But the point is, Miss Cleo's pet treats, they're incredible, man. I actually, funny enough, there's dried sweet potatoes are great for dogs. They love them. They love dehydrated apples. I actually ate some from my dog treats earlier.
Oh yeah.
I gave it to my dog, and my dog's like,
are they that good?
well, they're literally dehydrated apples. Yeah. Like you could dehydrate them yourself. They taste the exact same. But I'm giving it to her, and she's like, I'm not sure about the apple. I really like the sweet potatoes. So I'm like, look at my wife. I'm like, you think I can eat that? She's like, oh yeah, sure. I ate one, and the food is it's like the quality is insane, man. Really good stuff. So if you're interested, if you have a dog and you know that your dog deserves better than that Chinese crap that's being sold all over the place, check the description below. Go to Cleo's cookiesandtreats.ca. We have a 20% discount code on your entire purchase. Political Orphans. Check the description below.
Nice.
That was my little plug there. Very nice. Mr. Cleo's.
Very nice. My wife.
Mr. Cleo's.
But yeah, no, it sounds like it was a good show last night.
Well, as the people that were there, I enjoyed it, but I really enjoy. I knew Craig before, like I knew the type of show that it would be. He's a cool dude. I'm a fan. I have a special spot for veterans. Like I know a lot of veterans. I got the chance to meet a lot of them when I was in the US. I just have a soft spot for these type of individuals. Like they tend to, a lot of them at least, if they're still good after their service, like if they're still, like they're not PTSD too much, they tend to do very cool things. Very cool. I remember, man, I haven't thought about this forever. I was in Arizona where I'm playing golf with, I had a client down there, and he brings one of his buddies. Turns out he's Green Beret. So he is, people always hear about Navy SEALs, but Navy SEALs are badasses, don't get me wrong here. But Green Beret are like the top. Like they're what's over the Navy SEALs. Like Navy SEALs are not all able to become Green Beret. And so he introduced me to this guy. He's probably your height, like 5'6", 5'7", but he's a cube. He's a cube, right? He's literally as wide as he's tall. He's just a very muscular gym rat. So we're playing golf, and he goes to pee on one of the fence. Like it's on the side, but there's houses surrounding it, and he's just peeing. There's a bush. It's not like you're seeing it's not like he's fucking in somebody's living room peeing on the floor there. But there's a guy that comes out, starts yelling at him, and he's calling him names, and he's basically there holding his dick peeing. And I look at the guy on the other side. I'm like, bro, if you have any sense, because we're playing golf, we're drinking. We've been drinking, we're smoking cigars. Like you're there for 4 or 5 hours, right?
Yeah.
I look at the guy on the other side of the fence. I'm like, hey, fatty, get the fuck out, get the fuck back in your house. You don't understand who you're fucking with here. This is the last guy. East Greenberg. Like, I didn't say what he was, but I know what he is. Don't fuck with that guy. Like, just shut the fuck up. Go back to your house. Go enjoy your beer and eat your Doritos. This is not the time.
And what happened?
Josh,
did the guy go in?
The guy went in and Josh kind of tanked me. Because he's like, bro, he's a business guy, right? He's a gym rat. He owns a few supplement stores. Some of his stores are directly aligned with the military, as in he can sell his own products on military bases. Like, what he does is very cool. It takes one accident and you lose it all. I was like, hey, bro, I don't even know you. I barely know you, but I know this is stupid. So get your dick back in your pants, go over there, and you fat boy, get the fuck back in your house, because this is not a fight you want to happen. Because he was going to jump that fence. He had a short fuse on that day.
But yeah, that would be funny. Just want to take this.
It wouldn't have been funny. I wouldn't have liked it, because it's such a great day and you ruin it by an idiot. Maybe it was just I didn't see the front, so maybe the guy was just pissed because he had a big dick. I don't know that. Maybe I'm just saying. Maybe that's why. It's just a hater.
Yeah. Trevor says was a good show, but got my blood boiling. Talking about last night's show. In what way, Trevor? Do you just mean like telling the stories about the pedophile, like the people he was trapping, or? I wonder in what way.
The worst part is that he didn't go into that much detail, as in what he does every day. We were more talking around the implications, like what type of individual does that? Why do they do it? Because in his head, and I agree with him, this is exactly how I see it too. It's a spiritual war. And to him, child trafficking is spiritual warfare. He believes we're born into war, and it is our job to do God's work. So it's very inspiring to hear a guy like him with his background talk like that. Is just very inspiring. But it's not an easy subject to talk about. If there's one subject that is extremely difficult for people to want to address, it's child trafficking. This is probably the number one thing that people do not want to talk about. Did you see, I brought it up with him yesterday, and this is the irony. Like, did you see the videos about this monkey punch the monkey?
Yes, I have.
Like, it went viral. So when I saw that, and then I was reading some of the comments, and one of the comments was a comment I made yesterday. I'm like, so guys, you're outraged by a little monkey being rejected by his mother and him having to hug a little doll monkey because nobody loves him, when UNICEF 2 years ago came out with a study that, as per their estimation, something ridiculous like over 300 million people on this planet right now, boys, girls, men, women, were sexually abused as children. The numbers are over 300 million worldwide. You're looking at 1 out of 10, 1 out of 11 reports being sexually abused. That doesn't count the one that don't say anything. That doesn't count the one that completely disappear, because some of the numbers are outrageous. You're talking hundreds of thousands of kids that go missing every year. They don't know what happens to them. It's insane. But yet we can feel bad for Punch the Monkey. But our greatest, I don't want to call them assets because it sounds like they're a thing, but our greatest resources is our kids. This is the number one thing everybody should agree we need to protect. This is not a political thing. This is our children. They need us to protect them, and we don't even want to talk about it. So that's what we're talking about. So that's probably what Trevor
that's
means,
what he was
that
talking
it's
about. I think he said
it gets your blood boiling, because it's not an easy subject to talk about, man.
Yes, I think he said something about whenever he hears about kids being abused, can't stand to see any kid being abused. Yeah, I mean, hearing about it is a hard. It's an absolutely difficult conversation for sure. It is, but I mean, it's one that has to happen. You have to have it in order for people know about some of the stuff that's going on. A lot of people just don't want to hear about it, not even because they're terrible people. No one wants to hear those things. It's not nice to hear those things. It doesn't make you feel good. But you have to be aware of what's going on out there.
And one of the things that bothers me in Canada is that, unlike the US, our database for sexual predators is not shared to the public.
That's crazy.
In the US, you can have access to the federal database, go check out your street, check out your neighborhood, and see who's a registered sex offender. In Canada, I just saw an article again today talking about it. Defense lawyers in Canada call it unconstitutional for their clients to be exposed as to who they are. In my head, you're lucky I'm not leading this country, because we wouldn't be having this conversation at all. If there's one death penalty I believe in, is touch children. This is my land in the sand. My land in the sand. If you touch children, you have surrendered your life. I have no pity for pedophiles. This is my line. Don't care. I don't care. You don't deserve to live. You don't deserve to live. You don't touch children. You don't touch children.
With execution of child rapists at all. No problem.
No. And surprisingly, Craig agreed yesterday too. He was like, yeah, no.
Really?
Because I thought the last time we spoke, he was against it, because he thought that through Christ they can be rehabilitated, that everything's possible through Christ. But he's like, that doesn't mean that it happens. Do you know what I mean? Not because it's possible that they actually, he's like, not because you tell me that you found Christ, I'm going to let you take care of my children.
Exactly.
This is not what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. But, I mean, I get the sentiment. But I guess you could make the argument, if God wants them to come to him, he'll find a way to do it somehow. But I don't know what the statistic is, but it's something like 60% of crimes are committed by like 2% of the same 2% of the people, right? Like, there's only a very small number of people committing these crimes. And countries that are really, really, really soft on crime are dooming themselves to high crime rates, because those same people are getting out and doing it again. That's what's going on in Canada here. If you actually just put these people away for a long time, or even brought back the death penalty for the most egregious cases, you actually could put a massive dent in crime.
My wife and I were just talking about that over the weekend, and what is the number one thing that is a deterrent to child rapists? What's the number one deterrent? What is the number one thing that will make them go to a different child?
Like strong parents, or like
fathers, not strong parents, strong father. If the father is involved, if the father's meant to be feared, they're not going to touch those children.
Yeah,
it's too dangerous of a gamble. There's too many others. As bad as this sounds, so we are responsible to a certain extent to what's happening, because we're being complacent. But yeah, it's not an easy conversation, man. There's somebody I should find her information, but I had her on one of my shows where she specializes. She's a tattoo artist, and both you and I are heavily tattooed.
Yep.
She's a tattoo artist that will give her time. She does a lot of pro bono work for rescues, for people that were prostituted, for people that were kidnapped, for people that were sold, to remove their branding, to hide their branding. Because that's another thing that most people don't know, is pimps will tattoo their victims.
Yes.
Like the people that they sell, they will actually tattoo them. They will brand them like they were cattle, like they belong to them. It's, man, that whole thing is a messed up subject, but it's definitely it's something we need to talk about. And I was asking that yesterday, and I'm going to ask the people that are here today too, is, a lot of the subjects that we talk about, they might sound mainstream, but we always go in a different direction with them. But I love to speak about the hard subject. I love to speak about the subjects that others don't want to talk about. and that was one of them. A lot of people don't want to talk about child trafficking, not only because it's a hard subject to talk about, but it's very hard to get any type of traction on that type of content. Social media does not like you when you talk about this stuff. But it's definitely something I want to talk about more because it deserves to be spoken about. Just like abortion, for example. I got somebody in mind I might bring. I need to reach out to him to speak about that, because if you enjoyed what Craig Sawyer was saying yesterday, he's the same type of stuff, but he specializes in abortion. Oh, Jesus. Hearing him speak about it is insane. Like, it will break your heart. Break your heart. So
yeah, no, I'd actually really like to have him back and have that conversation.
100%. We'll definitely have him back.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Before you do your closing, just let me name some names here. So tomorrow we're joined by one of my buddies. Absolutely love this guy. Met him through martial arts. Oh, Jesus, 15, 20 years ago. We are joined by JTF2 assaulter. Well, vet. He's a veteran. Former JTF2 assaulter and owner of Direct Action Combat Performance, Randy Turner, to speak about the liberal gun ban and one of his videos that's going viral about what we need to do to stand up to it. On Wednesday, I organized something pretty damn special. I'm actually really happy about this. I organized what I call a Women and Guns special episode, where CCFR VP of Public Relations, Tracy Wilson, is going to join us. She is bringing with her host of That Hunting Girl TV on Sportsman Channel, Amanda Lynn Mayu, and advocate for legal gun owners known as the Brass Loving Brunette. So that's on Wednesday. We're going to talk about guns and why it's important for women, why all women should support gun rights. And then on Thursday, we are joined by University of Toronto professor Trudeau Lemons to speak about MAID. So that's what's coming up this week.
Yeah, that should be a great conversation.
Yeah, man.
All right, guys, we're going to put a pinner there. Good show. Unfortunately, we didn't have our guest show up, but it tends to happen sometimes. We managed to wing it and have a good episode anyways, but we are going to get back on track with is that guest tomorrow, the JTF guy?
Randy Turner's tomorrow. Yeah. Well, yeah, okay. We got a guest tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so keep tuning, guys. We're gonna keep pumping those guests out. Other than that, folks, if you turn,
you can pump Randy. I ain't
pump Randy.
I ain't pumping Randy. I'm not pumping Randy.
All right, I'll pump.
Sorry, Randy. Bro. That one's on you. That was on you, bro.
Guys, if you're just turning in, if you want to support the show, please consider becoming a member. You can do that through YouTube for the low price of $2.99 per month. You can also buy us a coffee. You will see that a QR code in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. And of course, the other way to support the show is just keep coming back. Throw those comments out there. As you can see, if you watch the show today, we do take a lot of audience questions. A lot of the show is based on audience participation. So get those questions in there. Agree, disagree, what have you. We want to hear from you. Other than that, folks, have a great rest of your night. We will catch you guys tomorrow night. Peace.